Welcome back to the CANDYcolored studio. I'm artist Katrina Berg, and this is episode 239. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. I am at the Springville Art Museum with my dear friend and the director of the museum, Emily Larsen. Welcome, Emily.
We are so excited you're here, Katrina, and so excited to talk about our 100th spring salon with you.
I'm so happy. It's so funny because I say welcome to you, but I'm here.
Well, no, but it's good that you say that because we do want the artists, all the artists that we work with, to feel like this is their museum. So if you feel like it's yours, then that it means we're doing our job at least a little bit right.
That is so great. And you know, it's interesting because I was thinking about this and how excited I am to come and be with you. And this is like a secret. I've always wanted to interview you, but you're always busy and I don't want to like take away from things. But at the same time, there are a couple things that have helped me the most as an artist, and Springville Museum is right up there. Like there's like top two right there. And what's amazing is that this really is the art center for our whole state. Like if you ask artists, this is the place. This is the place where so many of us started, where we blossomed, where we got the bravery to, you know, create bigger or smaller or more intricately. And so it's kind of a special place to be. So I'm glad that you said that.
Oh, that just like makes my heart so happy to hear you say that. And I think to all the artists listening, if you're not involved with us, please come. Even though I'm busy, everyone's busy, right? I want to talk to you. Come stop at my office or send me an email with me. And we want to do programming and exhibitions and all sorts of things that help artists. That's really one of our main goals and one of the main audiences that we want to serve.
Absolutely, and I think that's why I've had such a great experience, is because there's always so many great things for the community and the artists to do together. Like for example, the $100 show, or the roundtable for artists. And you've had so many, like you have the cute little events that you do for kids so that they can explore and enjoy art early. And then of course there's the high school outreach. We could go on and on about how many things, but it's true. You guys have done an amazing job, and I just appreciate you so much.
You know, we appreciate you, and we couldn't do it without the support of the artists. So it's mutual, right? This relationship between the artists and the museum. We want to feed each other.
Totally. Oh, that's so good. Well, we're excited to present to you. We're going to share with you a little bit of the 100th salon, but we also want to tell you about just this heritage of the salon, the Springville salon, the Spring salon. And we're also going to tell you a little bit about the history, because there's technically 2 shows going along this year. And so go ahead and show it on.
So because it's the 100th year, we really wanted to do some big things to celebrate the history of the Spring Salon. So we do have 2 shows right now on the main level. We're in the 100th annual Spring Salon, which is, the Spring Salon is this competitive juried art exhibition, and it's on our whole main level, and that's the one we do every year. So last year we did the 99th, next year we'll do the 101st. And then upstairs is something we're doing just for this 100th salon. We're calling it Salon 100, and it's an exhibition that's celebrating the history of the past 100 spring salons. And so we have one show upstairs that features 100 works of art that the museum has collected from the past 100 spring salons. And it's pretty interesting. Our collection is just shy of 3,000 works in our permanent collection, and over 300 of them have been in a salon. So 10% of our collection has directly been in a spring salon before.
That's incredible.
And then we also have a show upstairs that tells the story of how the salon started and what it's done. And that's just such a fun story because it is so unique, and it really is a truly magical story. So in the 1920s, the Springville High School students had been collecting art for a couple decades. At that point, their collection started in 1903 when 2 famous Utah artists with ties to Springville, John Hayden and Cyrus Dallin, each gave a work of art to the local students because this community wanted their students to have access to original works of art. So that started their collection. They kept collecting, and in the 1920s they said, you know what, we want to keep growing this collection. We want to build it and show more art. So they started hosting in the halls and auditorium of their high school the first annual spring salon. And the historic high school used to be where the lawn and the parking lot is now at the museum. And so they had the first show in 1922. They invited artists from all over the country to submit artworks, and artists from all over the country were sending artworks to this rural high school in the middle of nowhere in Springville, Utah. And it just took off. It grew and grew, and they became so famous for this art collection and this exhibition that they hosted each year, that's why they built this building that we're in. In the 1930s, they broke ground in 1935, dedicated it in 1937, and it was the Springville High School Art Gallery. Can you imagine going to high school and this being your gallery for your art? That's how much they invested in arts for this community. And so that story and the magic of the students, we are saying the students that built Art City, is just so meaningful to us and to our community. And it really is, these kinds of things are what really is the heart of the museum, serving students, something we still do, and serving artists and working with living artists. And that's the magic of the salon. Sorry, I know that was like a really rambling long way.
It's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. And just to let people know as well, you guys also, one of the special things you've done this year, you've done the documentary.
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible as well. And so remind me how long it'll be showing at the theater.
Yeah, so the documentary is about 20 minutes long. Local filmmakers Jared Jenkins and Hunter Phillips of The Plane directed it. So they're local artists as well, and they did an incredible job. It's playing, you can watch it upstairs in the galleries in the Salon 100 show, and then we're doing showings throughout the year. We're still figuring out a wider distribution. We might be posting it on our website and YouTube at some point, but we might be trying to get it on a TV channel. We're still figuring that out, so stay tuned and follow us. But you can always come to the museum and see it, and we'll be doing more formal showings at the theater throughout the year.
That is so exciting. Well, I love that. And something fun about being here today. So if you're listening to podcast land and you're just listening to an audio version, let me let you know that we are videoing this. And so if you want to watch the video, it will be on YouTube, on Spotify, and of course on my website, katrinaberg.com. So those are the places to watch this video, and then I'll probably send it to you guys.
Wherever you share it.
So, but we want to actually share with you some of the pieces in this year's salon, and then we will take you upstairs and show you more of the Salon 100 as well. So why don't you tell everyone about a couple of the pieces here and the significance?
Probably most of your listeners know about what the salon is now, but maybe I'll just explain really quickly. So it started there with the high school students, but for the last 40 years, since the 1980s, it's really been a show that celebrates Utah art and is really known as one of the most competitive, the largest juried show in Utah. So you can come and see some art by some of Utah's best artists that's being made right now by living Utah artists. And this year we got about 1,500 entries, which was record-breaking, and we hired 3 jurors that came down and narrowed it to the 276 that are on display. So it's really a competition, it's an honor. The jurors give awards, and then we also choose pieces to purchase for our permanent collection. And one thing we did this year, which was really exciting, to harken back to that history with the students, because while the museum was so connected to the high school until the late 1960s, each year they would raise money and purchase works for their permanent collection. They would do bake sales and host fundraisers and then pick a piece for the permanent collection. So this year we worked with our student committee at the current Springville High School, and they got to vote on pieces we collected for the collection, and we gave them a little bit of a budget, and then so we collected 2 works that they put some of their budget towards. One is this incredible piece by Wendy Chittister, which we've been wanting a Wendy Chittister piece in the collection for years, and this is just such a great one. The way that she plays with shadow and light and just the photorealism of the way she paints, it's just incredible. So, and it's awesome. This was one that both our student committee and our acquisitions collections committee, everyone loved this Wendy Chittister piece and wanted to acquire it. And then we also were able to get this Elise Whaley piece, and this one was another one the students really advocated for, and it's incredible. She does such a good job with pattern and does these cutouts playing with negative and positive space, and we're just so excited to have that in the collection too. And both of those pieces will have the students in the credit line that these pieces were purchased in honor of the current Springville High School student body.
That is so amazing. And I just want to point out, just like Emily said, there were almost 1,500 entries and only 277.
Yes, or 276.
Less than 300. Less than 300 100 are in this show. However, it's really important as you come and visit the museum that you realize that this is a celebration of all the artwork that was created for this salon. So even the ones that you're not seeing today, this has the spirit of what's happening in Utah and where the artists are and what they've been making. And so I just want to take a minute and just celebrate all the artists that create in the state of Utah and locally that also participate, because it's an amazing community and we love you all. So
yeah, for sure. And I work on tons of trade shows. I've worked at this museum for over 10 years and over 16 years if you include the time I volunteered here. And so we do 4 trade shows a year. So that's a lot of trade shows, and I always tell people that trade shows are great. They show this highlight of what's going on, but they're imperfect, right? There's always pieces if you have different jurors, a different day, different things would get in and not get in. So celebrate what's in, but don't take it too personally or harshly if you don't get in, because that's part of that creative process. And like Katrina said, it really is. We're so grateful for all the artists who participate in our show.
So we want to share with you the piece that I have in the show this year. This is called Orange Colored Sky. It's named after a gorgeous song by Nat King Cole, Orange Colored Sky. And I call this the giant Easter egg because it looks like a huge Easter egg. And if you don't know Todd Orchard, you need to follow him. He's an artist. But he also builds all my frames and boards for me. And we just joked that this is the giant Easter egg. But I also wanted this piece to be all about Easter symbols, and just as a little confession. So when I applied to the spring salon this year, I was trying to decide which piece to put in, and I always felt like this was the very best piece. But what I will do is I will look at the jurors so that I have an idea of what they like. So if they don't get into a show, I can say, it's okay. My work was not their cup of tea this time, but I'll tell you, I got a little nervous because it's such a spiritual piece, and we have this spiritual show every fall, but the salon, I thought because it was spring and Eastery, this was a perfect piece. But then I looked at the jurors, and 2 of them are from out of state, and I'm like, am I going to be pushing my religious beliefs on them by sharing such a spiritual piece? And I got nervous, and then something slapped me over the face and said, this is the right piece for the salon, you need to put it in. So here it is, and I will show you a secret. So this amazing wall is kind of like a gigantic gallery wall of big art pieces, and there's not room to write about each piece. And so what they've done is they've created a booklet, so when you come to visit it, just come over here on one of the 2 sides, you'll see that they have this awesome little booklet, and it says artist statements in alphabetical order by last name. That's helpful. Anyways, so this particular, I'm just going to tell you some of the symbols. So those of you that follow me, you realize that we have sandhill cranes that come next to our house all the time. In fact, I took a video of them yesterday. I have millions of videos. But they symbolize new beginnings, resurrection, and healing protection. And so I definitely wanted to have this one in here because the whole theme of this particular piece is stepping into the light. And so I wanted to share with that, and then also thinking about this idea of healing through struggle, or after struggle. And so we've got the sandhill crane, we also have the kingfisher birds, and I like them because I think about how Christ was always telling us to be fishers of men. And so we've got the kingfisher birds, and then the toraki bread is a very traditional Greek bread that they eat around Easter, and they always have red colored eggs which represent the blood of Christ. And so they're in there. And then all of the flowers obviously have kind of Easter symbols. So the daffodils represent rebirth and peacefulness of mind. The white tulips represent love, passion, devotion, purity, and peace. And I think there's pussy willows. Anyways, I think the pussy willows are also an Easter symbol. So there you go. There's our fun little Easter symbols. And then we also wanted to share a few of the pieces here in this room. So
before you go, I'm going to say something to you. I love this piece, and I love how your work deals with struggle, but also there's always so much hope. And I think that is really the beauty of your whole body of work in this CANDYcolored studio, right? Of finding the hope and the healing in difficult times. And we even got a call a few weeks ago from this man who came to the museum, came to the salon, and he said, you know, I've never liked art museums, but I came and it changed my life to be here, and especially these works that deal with hope and healing and grief really touched his heart. And that where our building was dedicated as a sanctuary of beauty and temple of contemplation, and that idea of us providing sanctuary is so important. I think that fits perfectly with your piece, and it's such a great part of the salon for that reason and many reasons.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Emily. That's so great.
And you know, so I mean, it's hard. We're going to want to talk about all 276 works, but unfortunately, you would stop listening because it would get to be too long for that. I'll just put out a couple more on this side. Brian Krishnisnik is often in the salons. He's obviously a stalwart in our youth art community, and I love this piece because of the color blocking. I feel like the saturated colors is something that I haven't seen as much in his most recent work, so it's so fun to have this piece that's just popping with color. And he's going to have a solo show at the UAU Museum of Art later this summer, and he's doing a small show here that with his collaboration with Joe Adams. So lots more to see from Brian in the next couple months. And then we have decided to talk about both Brians on this call. And Brian in particular painted this incredible piece of sourdough bread, which is so simple, but the way he paints it is so incredible. The technique. One of our jurors, Constitute, is one of the top oil painters in the world, and he just loved the way that Brian captured the light and the tone and the value in this piece, and just his technique is incredible. And we love working with Brian, and we'll work with all artists. So many great pieces. We have a piece by Casey Childs. I'm a collage artist. I love this piece by Julia Benjamin, and there's, I think, out of camera, a great ceramic piece by Mary Crabtree. So that's one of the great things about the salon is so much variety in style, subject matter, medium.
Okay, so here we are in one of the special hallways of the salon. This is always a sweet spot in the museum just because it's very intimate, and I love this spot. And you'll always find some treasures in this particular hallway. And what's fun, this year we've got a piece by Izzy Balstead, who I have known for a really long time. And he's a newcomer to the salon and to the salon experience. And so we thought we'd share with you about his piece as well.
Yeah, and this is just a great piece that has so much energy and movement, more abstract. I walked through with one of our collectors that comes to the museum to collect, and he just fell in love with this piece and the energy it brings right away, and so it's such a fun one to have in the salon.
So good. So we're so excited to have that one. And then we have to also mention this gorgeous piece by Mary Sauer. Everything she does is incredible, but I particularly love the bright colors that she's using, the saturated hues, and of course the pattern with the dress that the woman is wearing. And I don't know if there's like curtain behind her, also with patterns. It's exquisite.
It is, and Mary's just one of the best, most technical painters we have in the state, and she's been on the salon scene for a while now, and so that's another fun thing about the salon is you have up-and-coming artists next to artists who are getting national awards from the portrait side, you know, and probably Izzy's getting big awards too. I just don't know their career as much, but the new, the old, all the variety, it's one of the magic things about the salon.
This is another really special corner of the salon. Remind me the name of this gallery space?
So this gallery is the Clyde Gallery. It was an addition to the building in '64 by the Clyde family, and they're huge supporters to this day of the museum, so it's kind of a fun history and legacy as well.
That's so great. So yeah, so if you're going down that special hallway, this is at the end, but it's also behind the gallery. What do we call the gallery?
That is the Smoot Music Gallery.
The Smoot Music Gallery. So again, I need to learn all the gallery names.
I would. That would be great, but no pressure. We can tell you.
But yes, if you want to find the sweet corner and you got lost, this is where it's at.
Yeah, it's the furthest west gallery in the museum on the main floor. And we're so excited because we're here in front of Bianca Velasquez's piece, Easy to Raise. Bianca's another artist that's newer to the salon. And this is an incredible beadwork piece. It's a lot about her own experience as a child and some of the trauma she worked through. And as you look, it's just so detailed and exquisite. It's one we purchased for the collection, and just so exciting again to have the variety of medium and subject matter and style in the salon.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love this piece. It's so bright and like you say, even though it's about trauma, it does give that theme of hope again.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like that is a theme that we're seeing.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much art that is about resiliency and how are you overcoming these incredibly hard things in your life, how are you dealing with grief and struggle and trauma. But the artwork does provide hope, even the hope that someone else has been through the same things that you have and shows a different perspective than you. It's one of the main things that makes the museum so powerful for our visitors.
Yeah. And I have to point out that Emily and her staff do such an amazing job of curating exactly where everything needs to be. And so when you have an amazing piece like Bianca's, you need to have equally just standalone pieces next to her so that it has this beautiful harmony, but also they're not taking away from each other. And that's what I love about where you put her piece. You put her right between Clint, which his piece is amazing.
Yeah.
And he's kind of gone to a new brightly colored phase, series, and I love it.
Yeah, I love this piece by Clint Whiting, another artist who's been in tons of salons and lives in Salt Lake area, and this has his characteristic movement, gesture, line, figurative, but then the monochromatic way he's painted it and the texture of the paint feels a little bit new. So I love when artists, you can see it's really part of this body of work that they've created, but that there's new decision making and ways that they're putting their ideas on canvas. It's just an incredible piece by Clint Whiting. And then we can only see a third of Ron Richmond's piece, but Ron's another artist, beloved. We had the editor of Fine Art Connoisseur, Peter Trippi, here a couple weeks ago, and he was like, Ron Richmond, I know that guy is so well known nationally, and this piece is incredible. You'll have to come see the full triptych. Ron was our juror last year and also is one of the featured voices in our documentary. So it's fun to have these people who are so part of the salon's history again with the newcomers all mixed in together.
Absolutely. And if I remember correctly, he does a lot of these triptych type pieces.
Yeah.
And so this is a very it's I shouldn't say a typical, but something that you can expect, and it's just a beautiful piece.
Oh, it's incredible, and one of Ron's best pieces that I've seen lately, and again, just that message of hope, too, again.
Yep. This is another special corner of the salon. All these pieces go so well together, so tell us about Anne's piece.
And we should definitely shout out Kylie Kimball, who's our registrar and collections manager, and she did a lot of the design and choosing where everything went this year. So huge kudos to Kylie. Tell her thank you and good job if you see her. But this is a piece by Anne Gregerson, beautiful ceramic piece. Anne's this incredible ceramic artist who's often doing these pieces that really speak to the experiences of women and the female body, and it's just incredible. And this is such a tender and incredible piece, and it's another one we got to purchase for our permanent collection. So I'm so excited to have Anne represented and have this ceramic piece in our collection.
Awesome, so good. Yeah, I love it. I love her work so much. So.
Yeah, it's incredible. And we're surrounded by some other really great pieces. This Sarah Luna piece is awesome. She's a great artist, up and coming. She was just in Finch Lane's 30 Under 30 show as well, and so that's an artist you want to keep watching and see what happens, and I love this piece in our salon. And then these ones by Karen Haig, these embroidery fiber pieces also just show again, it's all mediums, it's all subject matters, it's all types of art in the Spring Salon.
Absolutely, and her group, this collection is so great too, because you almost need to enjoy it from every angle. You need to come stand clear over here and see that all the fiber is coming right out of the frame. It's so awesome. Speaking of heritage artists, this is one that we absolutely need to share with you because Dennis has been in so many of the salons, probably more than most of us artists.
Yeah, Katrina was asking me if I knew off the top of my head which artist in this year's show had been in the most salons, and Dennis would be definitely one I think has been in many. He's been an active participant in the Utah art scene since the late 1960s, one of the main founders of the Mormon art and belief movement, and a painter and a sculptor and a poet too. And all of his work is so incredibly symbolic and so beautiful, again, to that idea of hope. A lot of his work, he uses his home in Alpine, Utah, where the Mormon art and belief movement went in the 70s and 80s. They all lived there in Alpine. And for him, Alpine is this metaphor of paradise and heaven. And a lot of his work is about these connections between heaven and earth, this life and the next life, and those passages between. And so this painting, you can see It's called Angel Soaring Over Horsetail Falls, and you can see all these angels. His work always also reminds me of Marc Chagall in that kind of dreamlike, surreal, but beautiful, and again, hopeful. And we're just so grateful to have Dennis a part of the salon and the salon's history. He's an incredible artist. And again, those new coming artists and these artists who have been part of the salon for decades, it's an incredible combination of all of it.
Absolutely. This is one of the artists that I have been admiring my whole career, and before I even knew I wanted to be an artist and pursue this art passion. But Kathleen Peterson is definitely another one of our heritage artists that have been in so many of these salons, but also really pioneered so much for women artists, and also just her being willing to brave this path of being a full-time artist.
Yeah, Kathleen's incredible, and this piece I've loved since the moment I saw it. I saw it at a gallery a few months before the salon, and it's just this incredible painting, the way she uses pattern and line to tell this story of these women quilting together, which is such a Utah story and a Utah tradition. And we, of course, do our annual quilt show every year, so we are so excited to use this piece both to help promote the quilt show. We have a junior high program where we use quilting, and then we didn't have a great Kathleen Peterson piece in our permanent collection. We only had a small pastel from about 20 or 30 years ago, and so to have a great large scale piece that just so well captures her work, we're so excited. And we were able to purchase this because two great donors, Carl and Heather Clyde, donated the funds for us to be able to purchase this piece for our permanent collection, and we couldn't be happier to have it. And then you're standing next to Brenda Lovell's great photograph, and Brenda and her husband Travis Lovell are some of Utah's best photographers, and this is just such an elegant, incredibly elegant photograph. The way that Brenda's playing with light and composition and value and tone, it seems so simple at first glance, but then you really look at it and see, wow, the technical ability of Brenda as a photographer to capture that nuance and that elegance. It's incredible. And again, photography is another medium that's well represented in this show and that we are so excited to have in the Spring Salon.
As with all the salons, there are some awards of merit. Obviously, we've talked a lot about purchase awards, but this is our grand prize winner this year.
Yeah, so this is David Dibble's painting, and it won first place. We had 3 jurors with really distinct points of view. Me on situ, a really traditional oil painter, figurative and plein air. Brian Draper, who's a professor at BYU and an incredible sculptor, and then Lauren Tresp, who's the editor of Southwest Contemporary magazine. And so they each came with really different points of view, but they were pretty unanimous and decided very quickly that this was the best piece in the show. And I think the way that it is both traditional academic realism, but also contemporary in the way that there's abstraction and tone, and the way that David's worked this composition, it's just such a masterwork. And 2 really fun salon facts with our 100th salon and David Dibble. One is that David Dibble's the only artist who has won first place in the salon more than twice. So from what we can tell going back through all our awards, David's the only one who's won first place twice. So congratulations, David, on that. And then we're going to go upstairs to say goodbye to everyone and tell you a little bit more about the history. And one fun thing about David Dibble is he is a descendant of Philo Dibble, who, if you believe all the folklore, and if you watch the documentary, you can see Vern's take on this. Philo Dibble was the first one in the 1850s to say Springville would have an art gallery. And so it's kind of fun for the 100th. Philo Dibble's part of the history, and David Dibble, his descendant, is the winner.
Oh my gosh, how perfect.
Good? Can you still see the sculpture? Okay.
Welcome to the Salon 100, upstairs in the museum. This is the special spot.
Yeah, so this is going to be up through next June 2025, so you have more time to see this, but you want to make sure you get here before July 6th when the show downstairs closes. And this is really the celebration of the salon's history. On this side you can see works from the 2020s all the way around to from the 1920s all the way around to the 2020s, and these ones from the 1920s to the 1960s were all the ones that the high school students collected for the museum. And you look at that, they have Joseph Henry Sharp, they have incredible artists. It's mind-blowing what they collected as high school students. And then on this side, as I get over here, were to the pieces we collected most recently in the 2010s and 2020s, and David Dibble's pieces right there, Brian Hirsch's sculpture, Greg Newbold painting, and a million more. We don't have time to name everyone, but that's why you have to come see the art in person and celebrate this rich history. It's really been such a staple of the Utah art scene for over 100 years now, and we're so excited to share it with you.
It's so exciting. Thank you so much for all of this work. And remember, there's 100 pieces up here, and you said it's up till June of next year?
Yeah, June 2025. And then we have a separate history show, too, that tells the history, where you can see the documentary. And if you want to support the museum and more programming like this that serves Utah artists and students and our community, you can join our membership program. You can become a member for only $25 a year, so there's really low entry there, and come visit the museum, bring your friends and family. We're really trying as well for the 100th salon to get 100,000 people through the door in 2024, so come visit and follow us on social media at Springville Museum on Instagram or on Facebook. Our website is www.smofa.org, and we're so excited to have you all here and visit.
Yes, and a couple other things. There is an online catalog about the salon, and so I'll put the link in the description of the podcast. But again, it's on Springville Art Museum's website. You can look at everything from home if you're too far away to see it. And I would just recommend that you look at pieces that you could purchase, because this is wonderful, but it will only be around at a limited time. But if you were to purchase a piece, then you could enjoy that forever. So yeah, that's another really great way to participate. And yes, absolutely donate to Springville Museum, and then that will go to support this program, but also the other shows.
Yeah, and purchasing a piece is a really great way to support the artist and the museum. We take a 30% commission, and the artists retain 70%, and that 30% commission goes to taking care of and growing our permanent collection. So that's really great. And our hours were open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5, open late on Wednesdays until 8 p.m., and now we're also open Monday nights, 6 to 8 p.m.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Thanks for being with us today. And please go and spend some more time in the Springville Museum. Again, thank you for everything that you do. We were talking about how our community is much like a tree. We're all part of it, whether it's the artists, it's the volunteers at the museum, it's the collectors, but it's also those of you that bring your family and spend time in the museums and support your artist friends. All those things together make this beautiful tree and just create this beautiful community that we have. So thank you to everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Katrina. So great to have you here.